All right, back in the F-150, and today we're going to install a sound system. Boom, boom. Okay, well, maybe not a full-blown sound system, but a head unit and 2 speakers, left and right. So let's start with the head unit. This is the one that I'm installing. It's a Kenwood KDC X305. It has too many features for me to even list. Go check it out on their website. I mean, I'm surprised this thing can't raise the dead, but it does quite a bit of stuff. So I did already go ahead and open the box and check to make sure everything was okay. I've already scratched the face, but hey, what's new? So I'm actually going to take a look at installing this into the actual spot where it's supposed to go. I already pretty much took out the old one, was a cassette deck, the stock unit. In this case, I had 3 screws to take out, but I think it's actually 4. This one is missing right here. It did have this kind of faceplate right on the front of it. It literally just popped off. It's just like 4 or 5 clips and came out really, really easy. No issue at all. So let me go ahead and fool around with trying to fit this. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go in. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to use any of the original brackets or whatever, but let's find out. Well, that was short-lived. I forgot I need another part for it. It's actually a little trim that goes around this piece and basically bolts up to these original spots. It's just a little piece of, plastic and then secures it in place. I forgot to check on that, and I don't have that right now. So I'm actually going to have to go and get it. Kind of sucks. Thought I was gonna just install this and then easy peasy move on. But I should have known. I've done something similar to this before, and it also needed a plastic kind of bracket fitting. I don't know why I didn't think about it this time, but I got to go get that too. I did look up some of this information on how to do this just to make sure that I was going to do the right thing. And if you take a look at installdoctor.com, installdr.com, they have a really good database on how to do some of this stuff. That's kind of how I learned how to do some of these radios. Super simple. They give you pretty much all the instructions you need on just changing the head unit. And that's also how I confirmed that I needed that piece of plastic. Well, it's going to take about a week to get that bracket to install the radio, so let me go ahead and install the speakers. So what I got here is some Rockford fosgate P16s. Go check out the specs on their website. I don't know them completely, but they kind of go with the head unit, so I'm not going to worry about it. So the kit obviously comes with the grill and the speaker. These are a 2-way full range speaker, and they are 6 inches in diameter. They also come with the mounting hardware, so a set for each, so 4 screws and 4 clips. In this install, I'm not going to be using the clips, I'm just going to be using the screws. The instructions say just to drill a 1/8 inch hole, and that's what I'm going to do, and install it that way. But the first thing that I need to do is actually remove this connector and put in some spade connectors. As you can tell, that's the connection that these speakers use. And I've already figured out which one is positive and negative. Basically, I just followed the wiring harness and came all the way here to find out what the colors were. And obviously black is ground, and your color, in this case orange, is your positive. So I'm just going to snip them and install the female spade connectors and then install the speaker. And there we are, installed. Looks clean, looks good. I didn't put the grill on because the actual door panel has the grill that's on there, so there's no need for me to do anything with that. And like I said before, just make sure you set your positive and ground to the proper connections and make sure that they're the correct ones that are also on the head unit. You should be fine. I didn't crank down on these screws. I just tightened them enough to hold it in place, and that way it wasn't loose. I'm pretty sure that if you cranked on it, they would strip out. Now, I got to go do this on the passenger side, and then what I'll do is I'll install the door panel after. And here's the same thing on the passenger side. Same process, was easy to install. All right, just wanted to show you something before anybody else does what I did. What ended up happening is I thought that I could just pop this out of this hole here and then just pull the wiring out. But the reality is that this is actually clipped in here, and what happened is, as you can see, kind of this gray spot, whatever, there's a crack there, and the reason why I thought I could pry it off is because of that hole there where you can kind of shove a screwdriver in. But the reality is that screwdriver hole is just there to push that in, so that way you can pop it out from here. Basically, you pop your screwdriver in here and in here, and then lift, and then this thing comes out. So don't do what I did and try to pry it off, because then you'll break it. And there it is back in. I don't know how long that's going to last. It's just epoxy resin, whatever you want to call it. And that's what's holding it in place. Voila. The doors on the passenger and the driver's side are completely back together. I think the hardest part about this thing was plugging in this back. I mean, it's all plastic and it's all not necessarily warped, but it flexes. And then when I tried to put the buttons back in, it was just a bit difficult. Anyway, I got it in, as you can see, and it's holding in place. Speaker is back here. And everything is connected. And as you can see on the passenger side too, I do got to clean that handle up though. I got to find something for that. All right. So one thing I wanted to talk about before installing the head unit, again, still waiting for the bracket, is that I want to talk about the wire harness. This guy right here. So on your right, this guy here, that's the part that connects to the stereo system or the head unit. And then this part here is what connects to your stock wiring harness. So this is only necessary. This section here is only necessary if you are using your stock wiring harness. This part comes with the head unit, but if you're going to do a super complex amp and huge setup, then you won't be using this. And the head unit actually comes with RCA outputs, and you'd basically use that. These are the RCA units that I'm talking about. That's what you would connect to your amp. And I kind of followed the instructions on this end here, which is the one that connects to your stock wire harness, and kind of figured out which ones were the wires for the stereo. When I could see what color they were going to, so when this one is for your speakers, I could tell that this was the colored one on the stock harness, and then this one was the black wire. And that's how I knew which one was the positive and which was the ground, because it mirrored the ones for the other side, like left or right, for example. Again, you only need this end if you're using your stock wire harness. Otherwise, use the RCA. I'm actually just going to wrap this up. All the little black parts are because there are wires that I'm not using, and I just want to avoid any kind of contact. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this up in electrical tape, so that way I don't have a bunch of loose wires everywhere, and just make it clean. Oh, I almost forgot to say, I soldered my wires together. I didn't just crimp them or anything like that. I like a solid joint, and then I shrink tubed them. Did that both for the speaker wires and the power wires. The colors just doesn't matter. That's just kind of what I had, and that's what worked. And that's it. So I'm just going to continue taping it back up and then plug it in. All right. So the little pigtail for the head unit to the stock wiring is installed. I ended up taping them up separately, you know, in the hopes of maybe just kind of reducing the crosstalk. I don't know if that's actually going to do anything, but these are the power and then these are the speakers. So hopefully maybe it'll help. I have no idea. Now, all I have left to connect is the head unit, and I can still pass it through all the bracing and the brackets when I do the actual installation, once I get that little clip in, that harness that goes around the head unit. So actually, why don't I just go ahead and test it? I can do that. I don't need any of that other stuff to go ahead and test it. So I want to try that. All right, so kind of got it balancing there. Should be okay. Just about to start the truck, and let's see what happens. Hopefully there's no smoke. So far, so good. All right, I'm going to go through setup and then see where we're at. Well, it works. Well, honestly, I'm pretty happy with the install, so that's great. And I just want that stinking bracket, and then I can be done with this. This unit does somewhat overpower these two-way speakers. Once you hit a volume of, let's say 30, which is the number that's on the screen, you can start hearing a lot of distortion. Not a big deal. I'm not 20 anymore, so having volumes at super high levels is not really something I plan on doing, but hey, maybe every so often. Anyway, so far it's working. The head unit works. I tried out the USB. I want to try out some Bluetooth and the CD, but I just don't have anything on me right now, and that requires a bit of a setup for the Bluetooth. But anyway, I'll test everything out once I get the unit properly set up and installed, because the battery comes in and out of this truck depending on the work that I'm doing. So we'll see what happens with that. Oh yeah. Got the kit. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So good. Finally, it only took a week and a half. Yeah, just only a week and a half. Now, I already opened it and checked the instructions, but I want to go through it again and just double check it just to make sure everything is okay. So let me take a look at that, and I'll come right back. Well, the first thing they tell you to do is just cut all the tabs off that you don't need. I guess I should have taken a picture of that before showing you, but anyway. So as you can see, I cut some of the tabs there. There was a bunch of tabs there that you can kind of see that are broken off. Same with, well, kind of down here. They say it's supposed to be lettered on the backside, but well, good luck. There's nothing there. So what I did is, just to confirm, I kind of figured out which one it was even before, but you can go ahead and just place it and you'll figure out which ones you need. This one's pretty basic, so, you know, nothing too much to worry about. So I got this piece set up. Now I got to figure out how to slot in the casing that goes around the head unit. All right, so the next step is to slot this metal cage that goes around the head unit into this plastic frame. It just slides in, no problem. It does kind of click in. This one has like these little tabs that you can see there at the right, and they kind of click into the frame, and then your head unit slides into this. I'm just going to mess around with it, just make sure everything is okay and that the fitting is good. All right, did a little bit of messing around, and I didn't like how it was kind of leaning in there. This came with the kit. It's basically just a little bracket that slides into what was the original unit to hold it from bouncing around. It's this guy right here, and I like how it holds it just a little bit stronger. I also almost forgot these pieces here. They're like little spacers that go in behind these brackets right here. So I'm going to go ahead and install it and make sure it's balanced and plugged in and everything. Well, after putting a kink in my neck trying to put that in, I finally got it located. I'm not at all sure why it said to use these spacers. It must be for the other model that's listed under this same category. I really did not need this. If I had put this, it would have made this trim, the dash trim, stick out, and it would not have clicked in place. Right now it's all in and good. It was a bit finicky to get it to line up in the trim and all that, but once I got it in place, everything just clicked in and everything worked. Let me just pop this in. And voila. That's it right there. And it looks good. It's clean. I have to say the Metra instructions deserve a little bit of a review, but other than that, everything seemed to be working okay. I did personally like that extra little bracket that's on the back of the unit here. It helps just to keep it from flopping around and bouncing around. It's in there really solid now, and I like that. I don't like a radio that's going to flop around and pop back out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the battery and just make sure that everything works, that the wiring didn't get, you know, bent up in a bad way, and that should be it. Well, just tested it, played some music, so at least some radio anyway. Everything works, it powers on, it seems to sound like it's booting up, so to speak, okay. So I'm leaving that right there. Well, I'm pretty happy with this install. It looks good, it fit, didn't have any major issues, a little bit of finicky stuff, but nothing major. Now, because I still keep taking the battery, putting it in, blah, 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 moving it around, I'm not really going to test everything at this point. I still want to test out the CD player and Bluetooth. I got to read the instruction manual for the Bluetooth because there's a bit of a configuration thing to do with that, as always with Bluetooth. Shouldn't be too complicated, but I like to go through it just to make sure everything is good. It's always good to read instructions, guys. Don't be afraid of them. They're there to help you. Overall, again, everything just went well and it sounds all right. Again, I don't know if it's because the speakers are new or if it's just because, they're, not as powerful as, you want them to be, but definitely the volume, I can't push it up that high, but not a big deal. My ears are not that great at this point, so let's try to save on them. Look, guys, easy install. You can do this in an afternoon, a day, depending on your skill level. Just take your time, take it easy. And, don't forget parts that you need to get it installed. Pretty happy with this boom boom setup, and I'm going to hang on to it for a while, test it out, push it to the limit. So on that note, I'm going to leave you guys here. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.